Shabbat Shalom, Shabbat Shalom, Shabbat Shalom to one and all, the holy royal Negroes, the true Hebrews and true Israel throughout the earth. Welcome to the Doug Rice Show. My name is Doug Rice, and it is Sabbath, the day that we are to rest from our weary work, keeping us as busy as we can be, busy bees throughout the week. Shabbat Shalom. Thank you so much, folks, for showing up, for tuning in, for taking a look at this live. My name is Doug Rice. Welcome to the Doug Rice Show. Writer, showman, if you will, driver, and yet and still I am here to impart to you all of the things that drive me. And I pray that you are all in good health, in good standing. And I pray as well that you are preparing yourselves for all that may soon arrive at our very doorstep. Folks, it is a lively, lively week. We have a lot to discuss. I have thought about doing this particular live for some time, explaining to people why I drive through my rhyme. And so today I will do just that on this show. But please, if you would, if you could, like, subscribe, share, hit the notification button, hit the bell that we know so well that does nothing. I don't know. Do they notify you? I don't know. I'm being shadow banned. I'm being restricted. I'm being constricted. I'm being reduced. I'm being marginalized. I'm being mitigated. I'm being torn asunder. And still, I wonder, can you get notified by the notification bell? Well, I heard it don't work so well. Oh, well. So how is everyone? I hope everyone is doing well. I hope you are all blessed and highly favored. If you are Negroes within the hearing of my voice, you most certainly are, and some by choice. If you wish to support this effort, please feel free. There are edifices below that picture of me. And so the preference, of course, is always Cash App. And while I am on that, let me do this. I need to give kudos to a few of those who have shown me such support. And I got to tell you, folks, my shout out, my kudos go to those that do so. Daryl B. Logan, Mr. Logan, I will point out you specifically as a supporter of me. And thank you so much for your generosity. I do appreciate it sincerely. I really do. And of course, David Pickett, always in the thick of it, always there, always supporting the Doug Rice Show. I appreciate that. Cash App, $, the Doug Rice Show will give you the info that you need to know to support this effort. And please, I also ask that you take a look at my TikTok, Doug Rice Show TikTok. Take a look at the X, formerly known as Twitter. Take a look at some of these other platforms. I also am on YouTube, and I appreciate the support that you show through that effort as well. Threads is not a hard media platform to sell. Threads is to us what X, or formerly Twitter, is to right-wing white nationalists nowadays. Yes, it is. Threads is a haven for brothers and sisters that want to express themselves, and they do so well. Please check me out on Threads. I'm on the gram. Yes, I am. I'm on the gram. And what I do, for most of you that don't know, is I write. I am a writer. I specialize in what I call Negro prose. Yes, I'm one of those. And I write throughout the day, I write throughout the week, I write, and it's not just attention I seek. I write to express the redress, the mess that Negroes, as I must confess, face every single day in this country as we go our way. And it's coming to me more naturally and more flowing and more knowledgeable and more knowing. And I am happy to be a writer, writing the things that I write. And if you would like to know more deeply the things that I write, please understand I'm on Medium, which is a social media platform for writers. Now, you're not going to be able to find me on Medium because they are actively shadow banning my Medium account. They will not allow you to search Doug Rice. And so you have to look to the links that I provide and get to me in that manner. I do thank you, folks, one and all, for showing up today. Today is going to be an informative show. I put this particular live together for a purpose and a reason. And if you have read the description regarding what I'll be talking about today, it involves what I do to survive, what I do for a living, my profession. And there's a reason I want to express to you my profession, because it's taken a long time to get here. It's taken a long time to get comfortable in doing what I do, and I do it daily. I do it 6 days a week, Sunday through Friday. And the reason I do it 6 days a week, Sunday through Friday, because if the Most High God of all creation can work 6 days and rest one, well, by God, I can do it too. I will not take 2 days off. I will not do it. Because what 2 days off is Sunday that leaves open, Saturday taken off, which leaves open to Sunday to worship in the Roman Catholicism way. And I'm not going to do that. So I'm going to work Sunday specifically. That's going to be my Monday. And so Sunday through Friday, sundown, I work. And then I rest on Saturday, on Sabbath, on the holy day that has been allotted for us to rest on that day. And that is what I will do. Today, we're going to talk about taxi driver deliberations, my taxi driver deliberations. I'm going to explain to you why I drive, why I have been, in my opinion, slated into that role of being a driver, and the mechanisms that I have employed to be the best driver that I can be. Well, the reason why this profession chose me, my thoughts and process and philosophy on why driving, I think, is one of the most, I would say it's a pretty noble profession. And I'll get to that as we go. Again, thank you so much for showing up to the Doug Rice Show. My name is Doug Rice. Like, subscribe, and share. Read what I write. Read what I write. Yes. And hey, thanks so much for that. Now, when I do write, I will tell you my new mechanism for getting what I write out there is that I read it and then post what I read on YouTube, so that I write first, take a great amount of time to write deliberately, as professionally, as expressively as I can, in all that faces us in this country as the Black man. And I then read it as eloquently and as expressively as I can, so that Negroes who don't want to read can still hear what I'm saying. And so today we're going to go over the taxi driver deliberations that I've come to put together, and hopefully this will all congeal, and you will hear me as best as I can keep it real. Thanks so much for showing up, folks. Again, Doug Rice Show. So, latest updates. First and foremost, I'm a professional driver. I drive as a profession. Now, I am a taxi driver. I drive people. I don't just drive them crazy. I drive people. Now, I am going to maintain anonymously driving professionally. I will not tell you what taxi driving service I drive for, but I can tell you that I drive 6 days a week throughout the day, sun up to sundown, and I drive a lot of people. And let me tell you first and foremost my thought process on on driving. We know that God Almighty has chariots, and in those chariots, we know there must be drivers. There must be I say people in the altruistic term. There must be those individuals that drive the chariots that God himself carries himself within. We know that there have been visions of such chariots. And so if God is seeing sat on those chariots, there must be a conduit through which those chariots move. And so I call it one of the oldest professions. I'll just surmise that myself. I find driving, and specifically driving people, delivering people to the place they want to go, as noble and altruistic profession as there can be. Then I'm going to explain my newfound philosophy. I'm going to get this as succinct as I possibly can. So I drive people because in that moment of driving, there are a few things that occur. Now, when a taxi is called to pick you up and take you from point A to point B, and this is a growing field, a growing and needed field, let me tell you, as a person that picks up an individual in need of transportation, when they step into your cab, when they step into your vehicle, there is an instant implied trust associated with that act. I need you to dissect this with me, folks, because it's going to come full circle on how it culminates in the choices that I make to serve the Most High God, because those interactions that occur during that drive reinforce in my mind the need to stay as loyal to the Most High God as I possibly can throughout my life, especially in these days and times, especially as I grow older, approaching 60 years on this planet as it hurtles through the void toward a most certain eventuality. And when folks step into the cab, when folks close the door, there is an implied trust in closing that door. Let me tell you a few things they're doing. They're trusting that I am not high. They're trusting that I'm not drunk. They trust that I know how to drive. They trust that I'm not suicidal. They trust that I am skilled enough to navigate through the traffic, moving from point A to point D to get them there safely. And why? Why do they trust? Because they have family to go to. They have family that are concerned about them. They have family that some know they're on the ride. Some call them in expressing that concern. And they see a stranger sitting in the driver's seat, having full control over their lives at this very moment and throughout the ride. And you must convey a confidence in how you carry yourself. You have to exude the skill set required to get people from point A to point B safely. And let me tell you something, folks, they're driving angry out there. Yes, they are. For those of you that commute every day to work back and forth with your own car, remember there are people that have put themselves in the position where they cannot drive, where they cannot take that route. They can't get into a car through one mechanism or occurrence or experience or consequence. They have to rely daily to get to their daily drive, their daily job. They have to rely on someone else. And every day, they implicitly show that trust by getting into a cab like mine. And so, for me, that is a responsibility that I take extremely seriously. I really do. So I'm not high, ever. I don't drink. I don't smoke pot. That's right. I don't use any kind of drugs, not a single drug that you can imagine. The only drug that, if you want to call a drug, that I use is caffeine. I drink coffee throughout the day. And that serves as an interplay into the alertness that I need in driving people from point A to point B. That implicit trust is something I take extremely seriously. Folks, I've driven newborn babies, 48 hours old, 3 hours, 48 minutes, hundreds of miles to their home. New mother, new baby, and and the grandmother in my cab as I have to drive them 3 hours, 48 minutes to their home from Phoenix to some way out place in the sticks of Arizona. And these people are not my people, which plays into the next reason driving for me is an altruistic and very noble profession, because in the moment that you get in my cab, no matter what I may feel about you as a people or an individual personally, I set that all aside and my professionalism kicks in and I do my professional job. So if you can imagine all the things that I write, if you can imagine the slant that I'm sure people see toward negrosity, if you can imagine all the things that I talk about when I talk about white folks, when a white folk get in my cab, all of that is set aside because they too have families they're trying to get to. And my personal opinions, proclivities, attitudes, assumptions, conclusions should have no part in the drive that I am now responsible for. And it's true that the reverse is also true. Reverse is also true because there may in my cab get a person not of color, not of my family, not of my association, who hates us. And in some instances, I'm able to tell that disdain that they have for the driver that they've been dealt, if you will. And that animosity is sometimes deeply felt. Yet and still, I drive. And guess what? In that inherent trust, in that moment in time, they too must set aside their prejudices, their hatred, their malevolence, their attitudes, their conclusions about what they may see when they look at me. And they must eventually succumb to the trust that they put in me to get them from point A to point B. I drive. It's a noble profession. It's an altruistic, noble profession that sets aside all of the things that you may find disdainful in your mind. It is a two-way street of trust. It is a two-way street of dependence. It is a two-way street of setting aside prejudices, hatred, vileness. All of those things are set aside for the moment that you're in my cab. And let me just say, folks, it doesn't take long because when I drive well. I will tell you this. It's not too difficult to sell. And it's almost immediately felt the skill set that I've acquired over the years I've been doing this, since about 2018 off and on. And people are comfortable. They get really comfortable with me at the wheel. And perhaps a change may come about in how they feel regarding individuals such as me. And it's not too long, and maybe you'll see that they say thank you sincerely when they get out of my cab, having delivered them from point A to point B. And sometimes very perilous circumstances. As I said, most of you know they're driving angry out there. The road rage is all the rage. It's what I consider very, very symbiotic moment in the lives of individuals, both passenger and driver. And that is the reason I drive. It's a philosophy of implied trust. But that's not all I get from driving, because as you can imagine, I drive different folks. I drive different people. And as I drive different people, I get into the insight of those individuals' psyche from time to time. And I'll tell you, the insight into the white mind when you drive a white person as a black driver is amazing. I will tell you, folks, it is an amazing mechanism that I can put into play, and usually it's just in a few words that I say or don't say. Sometimes in saying nothing, you force them to say something out of the discomfort they feel for the thoughts they're having as you drive them safely from point A to point B. And that need to be accepted by the person that has your life in their hands. That person who you may have spoken ill of just moments before you got into the cab. You don't know. It's a very interesting occurrence. It's an interesting mechanism, and it is just So white insight. And one of the things that I noticed these individuals have, and I noticed this as a parlay into what we see today, is that they have problems. Let me say this succinctly, folks. When a few of them get in my cab, you can simply feel the uncomfortable nature of their existence these days. They too read the news. They too have attitudes. They too have opinions and conclusions. And once they're in my cab, they're trapped for the moment it takes me to get them from where they were to where they expect to be. And it doesn't take too much time passing, and then you see that uncomfortableness come into play. Some are more comfortable and less comfortable than others, but as a whole, as a group, I find the European whites in this country to be becoming a very nervous group. They are seriously problematic. They are opinionated, they are privileged, they are having the time of their psychotic lives and trying to navigate from where they were to where they are to where they want to be. And it's an interesting occurrence when they sit and see me with their lives in my hands. At that point, it's an interesting mechanism. They seem to want to make peace. They want to be out of the way to go into civility. They want to have a casual conversation, a conversation they would not normally have with a black person. And they think of interesting things to say, and usually they tell on themselves by just the things that let come out of their mouths. It's an amazing circumstance. It's interesting. It truly is. And the more silence, the less conversation I give, the more nervous they get, the more eager they are to break that ice that I've created within the cab and try their best to be as civil and as nice as possible. And it's all a game. We know it. I mean, as soon as they get out of the cab, who knows what they mutter under their breath. But at least I did not drive them straight to their death. White insight. Yes, they do have a problem. But there's also the reverse of that as well. When I have a brother or sister get into the cab, let me tell you something. We talk to each other, y'all. You know that? When two black strangers get together in a cab ride, it's certain, and usually under those circumstances, we have a commonality, a common ground, a common thought process that may play. And sometimes it's just in the simple thing I say, boy, they're losing their minds, ain't they? And let me tell you something, brothers and sisters are watching closely what's happening to these hillbillies. And we know we got a way to go. We know that there's danger and danger close. They're all reading the news. Not too many of them are awake. I don't go into that to too many of them. I can't take that stake. I simply speak to them. I talk to them, and we talk to one another. It's an interesting occurrence. You know, some of them think that we know each other. All of us know each other. Well, in those instances, when a brother and a sister get in my cab, it's very few times that we don't speak. And when we start talking, we all have the same conversation. This is something that you see happening amongst folks like you and me in this country. We all see the country going in the same direction. We all see the same orange menace in the White House, bringing about the erasure of the black experience, the black contribution in this country. And all of us as a unit seem to have the same things on our minds. What an interesting profession I have chosen, or has chosen me: cab driving. And let me tell you, folks, it's just those rare moments of interaction, especially between family, that you see that we're all suffering from the same maladies. We're all suffering from the same prejudices. We're all suffering from the same experiences. We all have the commonality of being Negroes, former slaves in this country. And depending on the length of the journey, we can discuss quite a bit. We can come to quite the same uniform conclusions. And at the end of the ride, let me just tell you, we're closer as a unit. We're closer as a group of Negroes, and it is a rewarding and rich experience to have when a brother or a sister that is open to having a conversation with someone like me in a cab has that conversation. It is very rewarding. This is why I drive. I am a cab driver. Now, I will tell you, once or twice or more than that, sometimes I have a lively discussion, a frank discussion. When one of these Wetico brains comes into my cab and they are open to my conversation without getting offended, let me tell you, I hit them between the mental eyes with facts and zero lies. And just like that, they do surmise that they may have a lot to learn. And I hold nothing back. One of the things I can tell you as an audience and folks, this is true. I am this person in real life. I am the person that you read what I write. I am that individual. I am that person day, and I am that person night. And I'm that person right in their faces without trying to get in their good graces. And I certainly don't keep my places. Well, we'll just continue. I absolutely hit them between the eyes with facts. I'll tell you what I tell them most. And most of them get it. I tell them that there's a reckoning about to come. Those that are open to the conversation that I would have with a white person that's, even remotely interested to listen to what I have to say, I hold nothing back. I do it every damn day, if I can. I tell them that there's a reckoning coming. There's a reckoning coming to you. Your forefathers told you lies. All of this that you obtained through blood, through murder, through rape, through theft, through lies, through genocide, all of that is a vacuum being created, waiting to be filled, and will be filled. You cannot get all that you have obtained through those mechanisms without a cost to be paid. You took the bag, as Big Judah says. I do like that particular aspect of his delivery. They took the bag, and when you took the land, when you took the wealth, when you took all of the generational holdings that your forefathers stole and murdered and killed and raped for, when all of that is said and done, and you said, thanks, forefather, you took with it a debt, and that debt is yet to be paid, and it will be paid. And it will be paid through your children and through yourselves, through your progeny. I will tell them this sitting in my cab, trapped and unable to go. And I can just feel the uncomfortableness come across them. So it is palpable. You can see it. There are those rare few, you see a light bulb go off and they understand. I had one that was a very long cab ride, and he talked about Trump and all that he'll do for this country. And I told him Trump is leading this country straight to its demise, its well-deserved end. And I included with him all of the points that I've just made. And at the end of the cab ride, this young man who told me he was going to talk to his father about all the things that we talked about in the cab said, you know what? You've given me a lot to think about. That was one of the most rewarding conversations I've had driving a cab. It's why I drive. To have those kinds of conversations if it's possible. And it is possible to talk to some of these individuals that are willing to listen. And they will understand that there is a closure coming to this land, and it will come. And a reckoning will be applied to all that has come of this place. It's an interesting profession. I've also, with those frank discussions, I want to tell you something. Now, we've talked about sundowner towns. We've even joked about sun-up towns. I know you guys have seen some of the videos that young brothers put together when white folks come to our towns and the sun's about to come up. Y'all got to go. It's pretty funny. I put it on the show. Well, I want to tell you that there are sundowner communities peppered throughout the United States of America, specifically where I am in the heart of Arizona and all the surrounding communities. I have found myriads of well built, well constructed, high value homes where there is not a black person expected to roam. And it's an amazing circumstance to come upon. One particular community had 5,000 houses in a gated community, armed gated community. And when I drove through the gate of the community, I could see by the look on the face of the individual who looked back at me that I was the darkest thing in that entire community. And as I drove through the community and I looked through all that was offered and all available, I could see that for black people, the place was unassailable. There was no chance for any of us to be anywhere in that particular place. It was an interesting epiphany. There are still sundowner communities. There's sun up communities for Negroes. There are communities within the United States, specifically within Arizona, specifically within the Phoenix proper area, where Negroes dare not attempt to try to live. And I mean, less than two damns do I give, but it's an interesting thing to see. As you can imagine, I travel hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of miles throughout the week, and I've gone to places where Negroes can't even speak. It's a very interesting thing. It's why I drive, why I do what I do to get these discoveries and pass them on to you. And along with those secret hidden hideaways, I've also come across some mechanisms that I can use to bring out what really is within the cab and myself. What's really behind me? What is that thing that is behind me that sits there? Sometimes the silence that I use in driving, it simply squeezes out the real of people. And what the silence does is it makes it as uncomfortable to some where they have to get on the phone and talk to others. And when you hear some of the conversations that are had by other individuals, you start to listen to how individuals think and the things that they say and the things that they infer. It's a very interesting observation to make. I can tell you through my listening, I've not missed too much. And the general consensus for those who wish to know is that they do not like us, and they are not scared to say so. Some have said with impunity that they don't like Negroes. But they say it in a way that doesn't say it specifically, but they say something akin to that topic that allows me to understand exactly who I have in this cab with me. Silence is golden in a cab ride, and it's also telling. And one of the things it tells is they're not like us, man. I will tell you this. They are not like us. More than that, we the people. They're not like us, and we are the people. You cannot imagine the individual, the hubris, the privilege. It's an amazing thing. Some of the airs of superiority that I have to endure while in that cab. Some people are just assumptive in that I don't know how to drive, or I don't know how to get them from point A to point B alive. Or I've had some have literally, some have accused me of attempting to kidnap them because I do not go in the manner that they wish me to go. I will not. My map takes me one place and their mind takes them another. And if the two do not meet in synchronicity, well, then, I mean, I guess I'm a kidnapper. I've literally been accused. I've had people panic in the car. It's an interesting thing to talk a person down from panic, specifically a white person. In the cab, they have disabled the ability for an individual to get out on the driver's rear seat, because they don't want you to go out into the street and get killed. They want you to get out on the passenger side so that you can stay alive. And I delivering one white woman to her home in her driveway, she was not able to get out of that particular door that was behind me. And let me tell you, she panicked. And to hear and feel the increase of her panic, to know what she was thinking, to understand, really put into perspective what she thought of me as a man. Because before that time, she was cordial and she was polite. She had the put on done just right. But when she tried that door handle and that handle didn't give, let me tell you, she wondered if she was going to live. And she got out the cab after I had to step out and to open the door from the outside as I explained it to her. In doing so, she looked at me with a look of fright and said, "That was terrifying." Now, keep in mind, folks, we were in her driveway. We were facing her home. She was at home. And just because she was unable to get out of the cab, her whole countenance, her whole attitude, her whole orientation toward my being her driver changed, and she was terrified. Oh, yes, I love driving. Driving can express and expose so many things. Specifically, when I drive white women. White women are an epiphany. They are a riddle wrapped in an enigma, wrapped in confusion. And one of the things that I've noticed is they are very quick to play the victim card right there in the cab. They will talk to me about things that parlay them as the victim, and it is an interesting conversation to have. I do not tolerate it. I've said pointedly, without any remorse, that I don't buy into white fear. I've said this to them directly. You know, the conversation we had was regarding one of the Waymo vehicles. A Waymo vehicle is a vehicle that has no driver. And one of the conversations I recently had involved a woman sending her child on a Waymo because she said she doesn't know what a driver might do to her young child. And I had to slice and dice that assumption in two. This says, "Ma'am, listen, you'll have more threat from a neighbor or family member against a child than you would a cab driver. And just to give you a heads up, they do background checks and they make sure that we have a certain amount of rides under our belt before they put a child in the car. They want to make sure that you are responsible and you know what you're doing. You're a safe driver. So please don't tell me that the poor white child can't get in my cab because I'm a black man and you just don't know what we might do to your children. When meanwhile, you leave your children with your family or your neighbors or associate, and suddenly your child's in some sort of horrific circumstance." So I don't buy into white fear. Oh, what a conversation I did here on that day. That's why I drive. I like driving. So, another thing that I truly appreciate when driving is the ability and the opportunity to share with my brothers and sisters some of the things that I may have discovered. Some of the truths that I have learned over the years that I've listened to folks like Dante Fortson, like Yacoba, like his brother Tiao Ministries, you know, all of the things that we've discovered together and collectively as a Negro unit who are conscious of our being true Hebrews. And Ron Dalton and Tim Burrell, wake up to your true identity. You know, from Hebrews to Negroes 1 and 2, all of the things that we've all have in common that are listening to me on this particular live. And there are all those moments in time where I can share with a brother or sister and talk about those things openly. But I will tell you that as a cab driver, you have to be very selective in sharing the truth, because there are so many of us Negroes that are still steeped into the slave religion, the plantation pastors and the pork chop folks that preach every Sunday. I work on Sunday, and I have to be very careful. It's almost like dancing on rice paper. You have to be very delicate because you don't know how an individual might respond. It's very likely that some brothers and sisters who have no enlightenment and no knowledge of who they are will defend to the death the lies that have been taught to them to their last breath. And you can get into a very uncomfortable situation in bringing up the wrong conversation at the wrong time in a cab drive. Just you know, just just gotta be delicate about that kind of thing. But it's why I drive. Now, interestingly, you'll come across one or two individuals that are not brothers and sisters who know that we are true Hebrews. And that, my friends, is a most rewarding conversation. Some of these individuals that you would look at and suspect to be not of our ilk are of our ilk and will say so openly. You are true Hebrews. Those individuals that are in Israel are not. They are Europeans. They are Polish people. They are Turkish. They are Europeans. They are not from that region. And you'll have that conversation and you'll be sad when the ride is over because you just want to continue to have it. You invite them to do everything that you can to take advantage of the soon to be and hopefully approaching exodus that involves Negroes and tell them to cling to Negroes. And the first chance you get to leave with us, please do so. It's why I drive. So we have kind of a snapshot of the reason I do what I do. But more than that, it allows me to continue to write. It allows me to continue to do these lives from time to time. And I'll be doing these lives on Sabbath after sundown, preferably for most of you, probably at this time. And I simply wanted to get this particular live in the can so that you understood and understand that I am still solvent. I am back on the road. I still appreciate your assistance and your support. I'm still in transition and trying to reestablish a homestead, and so I will continue to write, and hopefully you'll have read what I write when I write what I write. I do appreciate your time. But there are some current circumstances that are very interesting, I have found. I'm going to just talk about those briefly. Have any of you been following the Shannon Sharp fiasco? My God. There, there's a time for knowing and a time for showing, and there's finally a time for growing. And I only bring this up because, lessons that can be learned from the mistakes of others. When we take a look at that particular circumstance, when we take a look at all that is occurring with Shannon Sharp, I feel tremendously sad for his circumstance, but I don't feel bad for him. We all must start to know better who we are dealing with. And this particular instance now puts in full display the circumstances that Negroes are dealing with. At any point in time, they wish to take as much advantage of us and do us as dirty as they can. And I, in looking at that particular circumstance, must say and express my deepest heartfelt sympathy for his circumstance, a circumstance that he put himself in. We must all be on guard as we navigate through the final throes of this country's eventual destruction. We must all understand that we are not on friendly land. We must all do this, woman, child, and man. You're one of two people on this planet, and as a Negro, you are either unconsciously conscious or you are consciously unconscious. And you have a choice to make as a Negro in this country. And at this point, I recommend and will always recommend, if I can every show, I will recommend Last live that Brother Yakoba did in TR Ministries that talked about Negroes being that target that white people are after. If you have seen this particular live, if you have seen the End of the World Ministries on YouTube and you've seen TR Ministries, if you know of who I speak, I beg of you to seek this particular live of this particular Negro doing this particular thing. I have not seen such a detailed expose on the intent of white people as they go about their day against Negroes in this country. And I will say again, please take a look at Brother Yakoba's last effort. And I pray it was his last effort because I've shared it everywhere. So I'm hoping that I'm not misspeaking. I want to make absolutely sure of what I am seeking. Uh, the coming purge. Black Americans are the true target. 4 days ago, TL Ministries. I got to tell you, folks, an hour, 48 minutes, 34 seconds of information that if you do not wrap your mind around, you are absolutely out of your mind. If you have not the intestinal fortitude, if you don't have the mental acuity, if you don't have the common sense to look at that particular live and share it everywhere, then you shouldn't even be listening to this particular live. And I mean that. I am not a religious leader. I'm a writer. I'm a professional driver. And before they put us Negroes somewhere, we must all leave. And this isn't just something that I know, this is something that I believe. And that particular live of Brother Yakoba, TL Ministries on YouTube, I will tell you again, if you did not hear me, let me say it again to you. That particular live is one that every Negro within the sound of my voice and the hearing of this particular show should please find and look at. The Coming Purge. Black Americans are the true targets on TL Ministries, TEOTW Ministries, streamed 4 days ago with over 17,000 views. Yakoba, his brother, these people have guided my journey into awakening over the last 10 years. Those two brothers and Brother Dante Fortson are the individuals I call the three ministers. And as I close this show today, I hope and pray that each of you take that one particular piece of information to heart. And right after you're done looking and sharing this particular show, I would ask that you please take a look at that particular show because it puts it in perspective, the danger that we are in as Negroes. Well, that's all I got, folks. I hope this was a good effort. I hope that you share, like, subscribe. Please support the effort if you choose to. My name is Doug Rice. This is the Doug Rice Show. Follow me on YouTube. Follow me on TikTok. Follow me on the Gram. Follow me on X. Follow me on Threads. You heard all the words that I said, and I am out of here. Thank you for drawing near your ear. You have a wonderful Shabbat Shalom and good evening.